everyone, it's Shel C from PaperOcotilloStudio, and today I'm sharing with you day 26 of our hashtag AJOS Abstract August event in Art Joy of Sharing Facebook community. If you would like to join us in the community, you can go over there using the link below the video and ask to join, and make sure that you answer the questions that pop up, because otherwise we won't accept you, because we're trying to keep out bots and things. So we ask a few questions, you answer them quickly, and then you will be added to the group. We have a lot of different challenges over there, and this month is Abstract August. We have a prompt every day, and today that prompt was drip. Now, a couple days ago, you guys might have seen my gel printing with scraps video that I did, because I was just trying to warm up, and I was messing around with my little gel plates, and I made a bunch of patterned paper with different things, different mark making things, and different stencils and stuff. And on this 8x10 canvas, all I did was just glue all those pieces down to my canvas with some matte gel medium, and completely covered it on the sides and everywhere all around on this canvas. And that was what I was planning on using today. So drip, that's pretty obvious, right? Drip is easy. You could interpret that in a lot of different ways. You could, draw a shower head that's dripping, or you could draw a goofy person who you might have back in the day called a drip. But to me, the easiest thing to do was to do some drippy mixed media. So I'm using acrylic ink. It's flowy, it's light fast, it's quick drying, and the brand I'm using today just happened to be a couple colors from Matisse. The darker one is like an indigo color. It's called Nightfall, and the other one was magenta. I have no attachment to this particular brand. Anything, the FW acrylic inks are fine. I have a lot of the Sennelier abstract ones. I have some Liquitex acrylic inks. I just like the fact that they're flowy and they're easy to move around with water. I have a little spray mister and also a bigger spray bottle. And then I have a water tank brush that's got water in it. And those are the only things I'm using to move it around and make it more interesting. I've also got this fine liner bottle with some, it's not acrylic ink. It's actually golden high flow paint. But it's the same thing, right? It's fluid paint. You could probably even use something like mixed media fluid paint from Deco Art, anything that would flow. Even if you have regular old acrylic paint that's thicker, you could mix a little bit of water with it and make it drippy. You can do all kinds of things with dripping. So I started out with the indigo color, and I dripped down one side like a third of the way across, and then I dried that. I dripped it the other direction with the magenta, and then I was adding some of the white just kind of like as a highlight, and I did blend out some of that and make it more interesting by blending it with either the spray bottle or the water in my water tank brush. This type of play to me is extremely fun. I love to drip. I just love it. It's so fun. So then one of my pieces that I used to glue down on the background was a larger piece that had this stencil in the reverse. And you can see some of it up in the upper left corner. And there's a few other pieces throughout the lower right corner. Basically, I had some roll-off paper as I was gel printing the other day. And when I was using this stencil, I just turned it over and I used the excess paint that was on the stencil right onto the roll-off paper. And it made this really cool piece. I really liked it. So I decided to use it as kind of my inspiration for this piece. So I brought back in that same stencil and some of that Naples yellow and a little bit of titanium white, and I added in some pattern over the top of my drippy area. And I'm using a well, this is basically a makeup brush in the shape of a toothbrush type of shape, and I have a couple packs of these, and I like to use them when I'm trying to just only use a little section of a stencil. Stencils from Stencil Girl products, you know, I love them, and I design for them, and I use almost exclusively their stencils. I do have other stencils. I mean, I'm not saying I don't, but I do love their artist-driven, artist-designed stencils that are really, you know, people like me who want stencils to do this type of work or who are designing their stencils over there. So I enjoy them very much. I will put a list of the materials used on this below the video. You can also always just go over to my Amazon store, and most of this stuff will be listed there. Because these are things I like to use often, like the fine liner bottles and the water brushes and stuff like that. So I just mess around for a while. I get some pattern and interest going on there with the stencil, and painting back in some of the color. And then I decide I want to continue with the stencil and make some other marks with it. So there's a little section there that has kind of almost like a grid, but more of a wonky grid that's got kind of some triangles and rectangles, and I wanted to use that little section here and there. So I'm still using that Naples yellow and the titanium white, but at some point I do bring in that rose color from the background. Uh, there we go. There's a little bit of rose, and I decided I need a little bit more of that, the pink. Uh, this type of color palette is kind of what I go for. The brighter, um, warmer colors are what I tend to go for. Somebody was a little bit of offended that I said brown was boring in my last video. I don't tend to use a lot of brown because it just, to me, is like it's the color of the dirt, and it's great for certain things, but for me, it's not really part of my palette. And that's you know, we all have our own way of looking at color, and these are the type of colors I tend to use, brighter colors. I guess maybe I'm a spring. I don't know. Or summer. I'm not sure. Definitely not a fall. So I'm still just adding more color. This is an intuitive process. I didn't have a plan at all when I did this. I know I wanted to use up some of my gel print scraps that I made the other day, but other than that, I didn't have any type of plan of what was going to come out. And didn't want to do something tiny. I've been doing a lot of shipping tags, altered shipping tags during this abstract August when I've been able to do anything at all. I wanted to do something larger, so that's why the 8x10 canvas came out of the box. Needed to be just, you know, I just wanted to spread a little bit. I could have done an art journal page, but I decided to do a canvas because then I can hang this up or sell it or whatever. Just sounded like a good idea today. So I have a little tiny brush, and I'm adding a little bit more of that indigo color in places where I think it's necessary, blending it out a little bit with my water brush. It just, you know, just little touch-up things I wanted to change or add to or make more interesting. I decided to do some glazing, so I mixed some acrylic paint with glazing medium, which makes it more translucent. I guess I decided I didn't like the blue down there where I put it. And I decided to glaze with the pink instead in certain areas. See how it just makes it it's a really translucent layer, but it brings things together so that they have a similar tone. Even though they're different colors, if you glaze over with one color, it makes things more cohesive. However, I didn't glaze over the whole thing. I just glazed in sections, little areas I thought needed some touch up. So one thing I did weird today, and I actually don't think I enjoy it at all, I did all the outer edges of the canvas. You know, I like to, when I'm doing a canvas like this, I like to cover everything all the way around with my background collage because I like to be able to just hang it up and not worry about getting a frame or anything like that. So I did all the edges first, and it kind of caused areas of lines around the edges that I didn't like. So I won't be doing that again. I'll just go ahead and let the pieces, normally I put my collage and I just let it fall over the edge and glue it down. That's what I'll do from now on. It was an experiment, I guess. But I did touch up some of it at the end. You'll see me doing it. So it was annoying me. Also, this is very grid-like, which isn't always what I do either. But all the pieces were in little, rectangular or square shapes. So I decided I needed another shape on there, and I decided to make it a heart. So I grabbed a piece of paper that had some excess pink paint on it, and that's deli paper, which does have a tendency to wrinkle a little bit. So I had to work on the wrinkles quite a bit. But I glued that down. I stenciled it again with that same stencil, and then I glued it down with some matte medium, and I'm smushing out the wrinkles as much as I can. But it definitely wants to wrinkle, deli paper, sometimes. Sometimes you can use a flat edge of something to stretch it out, but I was just kind of doing it with my fingers to get it mostly not wrinkled, a little bit of wrinkle. And then I come back in with that acrylic ink and do a little bit more dripping, making the edges around the heart so that it stands out from the background. But I didn't just want like a solid pink thing. I wanted it to still integrate, and that's the reason that I added in some of that same stencil design over it with the same colors, the blue and the Naples yellow. Made it, not matchy-matchy, but it somewhat matchy-matchy. More drips, more blending with my water brush, or adding water to let it drip a little bit. And then I gave everything a good dry. And then I came back in with that same stencil. You know how I'm using the stencil all through the whole composition to make it all flow together really well. And I used that fine liner again and just kind of drew around the edges of the stencil in one section of it. And then added a few little extra lines, connecting it to the dripping and letting it drip a little bit. And the water brush to help it blend. And added back in some more white to give an idea of a place for your eyeballs to go, and connecting the drip lines a little bit. I also used that fine liner bottle to flick a few drips across in kind of an angled way across the composition. It doesn't make as interesting drips, I decided, because they all kind of come out the same size out of the fine liner bottle. But I wanted some drips. I mean, not drips, splatters. Did I say drips? It's kind of like drips. Splatters, flick, flick, splatters. So got some of those on there too. The last thing I did, I think, was to just take a little bit of that paint. That up at the top, there's an area across the top that has a real line, because I put the sides on first, and then I put another piece of paper over the top of it. I didn't like it, so I used the yellow and the blue to blend that line, and now it looks a lot better than it did before. And I just did that with my finger, just to kind of blend out some of those lines around the edges that were bothering me. So I hope you have enjoyed this project. If you have, please remember to give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment or question below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on your notification bells if you haven't already. And of course, you can share this on your social media if you'd like to. I will be putting it on Instagram and Facebook, of course, for everyone to see. So if you see it there, you can share it, or you can share the video. Either way. Let's see. Do I have anything else to say? Nope, I don't think so. I think that's it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.